A warm welcome and good morning to all. Hari Om. I take great pleasure on Department of Commerce to welcome our beloved Principal Sir, Major Dr. I. Babarathnam, respected staff members, and my dear students for today's webinar on the topic New Trends in Consumers' Online Shopping Habits. I'm also happy to welcome Mr. Narayan Ramkumar, Managing Partner, IT Web Dubai, and also our mentor coordinator of Avichi College. I would like to extend a special welcome to our guest of the day, Mr. Niraj Mital, Chief Operating Officer, Mirchi E-commerce Pvt Ltd. Before we move on to the session, a brief introduction about Avichi College of Arts and Science. Avichi College of Arts and Science is a unit of AVM Rajeshwari Education Trust. It is a co-education institution affiliated to the University of Madras. It commenced its curriculum in the year 2018 under the august leadership of Mr. AVM K. Shanmugam sir. His motto is to equip students from nobody to somebody. Avichi College of Arts and Science offers undergraduate programs such as BCom General, BCom Accounting and Finance, BCom Bank Management, BCom Corporate Secretaryship, BBA, BSc Visual Communication, BSc Computer Science, and BCA. What you can experience in Avichi. Avichi has multicultural campus, excellent infrastructure and facilities, congenial learning atmosphere, UGC qualified faculty with industrial experience, active sports, NSS, RRC, and other extracurriculars. Avichi offers a novel program called Avichi Mentorship Program, wherein the students are trained by the industrial experts in their respective fields. Enhancement of spoken English skills through training programs. During the first year of their undergraduate program, our students got the opportunity to be an intern at IIT Madras and the Hindu. Avichi is well equipped with art studios and laboratories, well-furnished gallery tech classrooms, highly equipped library, regular industrial visits and field visits, and we are very near to Varapalli bus terminus. Stay connected with us through our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/Avichi College, and you can also log on to our website, www.avichicollege.edu.in. For admission related queries, you can write to admissions@avichicollege.edu. Learn from the pioneers, come and experience the legacy of being an Avichian. Now, I request Mr. Narayan Ramkumar sir to introduce the chief guest and take over the session.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, respected Principal sir, professors, and of course the man behind all this, our good friend Mr. AVM Shanmugam, the man behind Avichi mission of creating a new tomorrow for the students. Without much ado, I just get into today's topic. Before I welcome the guest, I just like to quickly touch upon for those who are students who have just completed the 12th, getting into the college or trying to look for new opportunities, and for the existing students, quickly just share with you what we people are trying to do with Avichi, right? We are just trying to make a difference. As she just now said, that make somebody out of nobody, right? In those 3 years, we all finished our graduation long back, 40 years back. We didn't know what to do. We didn't have any guidance, counseling, or the modern day communication platforms. But then we thought, we should make a change for the better, for the next generation. So we have started a mentor program in Avichi, meaning we have brought in some subject matter experts from all over the country, all over India, all over Middle East, US, and we have got some people from banking, entrepreneurship, accountancy skills, technology, communication, social media, leadership. So what we have done is we have chosen a first bunch of 20-25 students. We are trying to take them to the next level. And then we are continuously adding students to the program, where a group of 4 or 5 students are being attached to one mentor. And then the mentor continuously interacts with them, not face to face, possibly once in a while, but otherwise continuously interacts with them, motivates them, gives them subject matter guidance, so that in 3 years, when they finish the college, they are very clear about their careers, they're very clear about the focus and where to go, right? That's the mission of Avichi. And I think we made a very small beginning. And I think we intend to make rapid progress as we add more mentors into this program. So I think Avichi is definitely making a big difference, even to undergraduate students. Madras University, in fact, has recognized this program and has been very happy that, a lot of subject matter experts have been brought in, and then they are spending the time with the young students. Yeah. This is about Avichi's mentor program. right? So we now get on to today's program, and then I have great pleasure in introducing our dear classmate and buddy, as we call it, and we also call him as Pulavar because he's got multifaceted personality, and then one of his hobbies is writing poems. Instantly we look to him for inspiration in our group, and he comes up with poems in matter of seconds or minutes, so that's one of his special skills. Mr. Niraj Mital, who is basically the CEO of Mirchi E-commerce Pvt Ltd India, which is operating as a chief operating officer from Hyderabad. It's an e-commerce platform which is doing wonders in the food industry. Mr. Niraj has over 35 years of experience in the IT industry. He's worked and architected and implementing several mission critical projects for companies like IBM and Verizon. He's also a co-founder of a company called Magna Infotech, which grew organically to become one of India's largest IT staffing companies at a point of time having more than 7,000 employees, right? And then it was acquired later on by IKEA Human Capital and then by Quest Corporation. Now Niraj is now on to his own enterprise called Mirchi.com. He's an entrepreneur who also encourages a lot of other entrepreneurs. He's got a forum in Hyderabad where they regularly meet and encourage startups to come and do presentations and also invest in them. And he holds, of course, a master's degree in computer science. He writes a lot of poetry. He does sketches in his spare time, so on and so forth. I really believe me, he's a person of multifaceted talents, and we are very happy to have him today. Missed. And last but not the least, a lot of people don't know this. When he sold his company, when this company became quite big and sold, a lot of people, what they do in current scenario, they simply packet the money, start onto multiple companies, enterprises. But Niraj is a different man. He's got a lot of empathy. This I should share it with you. What he has done is part of that investment which came through. He has distributed equally among his lowest level employees to make sure that they have a future for tomorrow, because they were with him for 10, 15 years before he sold that startup, right? Not many people do that, right? That is the other side of Mr. Niraj for you. So without much further time, I'd like to welcome Mr. Niraj to make this presentation, especially in today's scenario. It's very relevant on entrepreneurship and e-commerce. The way the world is going, people need to make some tough choices in the career ahead, and you can't get a better person than Niraj to talk about this for the next 1 hour. It's all yours, Niraj. Go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ram, for wonderful introduction. You actually, given me a lot more credit than what I should be getting, I guess. But let me just give me a minute. Let me just share this screen here. Thank you for Avichi College for giving me this opportunity to share whatever views I have. I'm going to the topic new trends in consumer online shopping habits. Now, this is a topic that, could be accommodated even in 6 hours, okay, right? Because, when you're talking about shopping habits, there is a lot of stuff that has changed, not today, from the time when, we were kids till the time when, the students of Avichi were kids, okay, till today. Now, before I get into, too much, I would not want to concentrate on consumer shopping habits outside of India, because that is a different discussion altogether. I would really like to concentrate on, what is that which is happening in India, and why is that it happened, and how it is going to progress from here on. So just to give you, a little leeway here. Remember when all of us were kids, okay, right? You just go back, maybe 10 years, 15 years, some of us, even 30 years, okay, right? What we used to do was, we used to basically buy, whatever we needed on a daily basis or once in a while. So as humans, what we did is, from the evolution of us as a rational, animal, as they call it, we've been indulging in commerce, okay, right? We've been buying, selling, we've been exchanging, we've been doing barter, trade and everything. So if you look at it, people in villages had some grain, they gave it to somebody else, and they took some, something else in turn. Maybe they got some services done in turn. So that is nothing else, but it is, plain and simple commerce, okay, right? It is something that you do not necessarily with money, but you're doing it as a service to yourself and to somebody else. Now, e-commerce, if you look at it, is a little extension to that, meaning that they just added the word electronic commerce, to it. But, as I said, take your thoughts back to 30 years. You went to the store, okay, you picked up, from a list that you had from you. Your mom gave you a list or somebody gave you a list. You went and picked up some stuff, and the shopkeeper looked at it. He packed everything, gave it to you in a bag, and you lugged it home, maybe on a cycle or a scooter, or if you have a car, maybe in a car. But that was the time when luxury was at a very, very steep price. But as I mentioned, us being humans, we don't lose an opportunity to comfort ourselves or to equip ourselves with any kind of luxury that we can lay our hands. So then, what happened is people graduated to saying, okay, now I have a telephone in my house. And guess what? The person that you bought this stuff also from, he also had a telephone connection, okay, right, in the shop. So the next time he went to the shop, what did he tell you? He said, sir, why are you coming to buy this, from my shop here? Okay, you just call me, and give me the list. I will take all this stuff, okay, and I will have it delivered to your house, okay, and I will collect the money from you after I deliver it. Now, it may sound silly, saying, why am I bringing up all this? But if you really look at it and dissect, what I just said, this is the beginning of your e-commerce as we know it today. So what you did, you picked up the phone, you called somebody, right? In a sense, what you did is you placed an order and you checked out. What did the shopkeeper do? The shopkeeper took the items that were in the order, right? He prepared a list, gave the prices next to it, okay, totaled up everything, called the boy and said, here, this is the address. Go and deliver the products to so-and-so address. And by the way, you collect the money and come. So isn't that, something like you're using maybe like a Swiggy kind of a thing, or you're using a Dunzo kind of a thing, or maybe you're using an Amazon delivery boy? And isn't the collection of the money that you got an extension, an early form of cash on delivery? It makes sense. So then what has happened is, as we developed, okay, as the services grew, as the technology became more mature, email came into the picture, right? People were blessed with a fax machine, right? So now what happened is people said, okay, this guy is doing it from the neighborhood store. Okay, what if I have a factory which is running? Okay, right. So what I do now is I'm faxing or I'm emailing a list of all the stuff that I need from someone to somebody, sorry, and asking him saying, would you be able to deliver this to this address and how much is going to cost me, right? Now you get all the information by email, right? You don't see the person's face. You don't know who is delivering, whom you're talking to, nothing. But the items that you wanted came to your house or to your factory, right? Or to your workshop, wherever it was. You made the payment. How did you make the payment? You either told them, okay, after you deliver it, you pick up the check or you pick up the demand draft or you give me a bank account. I will have the money deposited into your bank account. All this is the beginning of what we commonly call as e-commerce, right? And now with the explosion of internet, okay, all that I have just spoken to has now become a lot mature, has become a lot more sophisticated, and has become a lot more generally available. Now, apart from that, there is one more reason why e-commerce is the way we are all touched today. Social media. I'm sure everybody has either a Facebook account or a WhatsApp or ID or maybe an Instagram ID, or if nothing else, at least they have some sort of a group where you can just join and converse, right? So that is actually now shifted over to the smartphones because almost everybody I know, including the people in the lower income groups, all of them have a phone, right? And the popularity of the social media, e-commerce has now shifted to the smartphone. Once the e-commerce has shifted to the smartphone, now it has got a lot more information that has been generated, and how this information is being managed itself is a challenge which a lot of these e-commerce companies are trying to address in different ways possible, because this wealth of information is what drives their business today. Now, this is how did online shopping in India grow? Before I get into what really happened in India, right? What I really want to say is, in the early 1900s, okay, before the Indian economy actually opened up, Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao opened up the Indian economy to, so that all foreign brands started trickling inside, right? Before that happened, e-commerce was only a luxury that NRIs in other countries could afford, primarily for two reasons, okay? Number one, they had the luxury of owning a credit card. And second thing is they had the luxury of an internet bandwidth. For those of us, who are used to dialing in, with a 14.4 kbps modem, right? You cannot even imagine what is the speed that was generated during those days, right? Right now you're talking about gigahertz, you're talking about 2 gigahertz, 4 gigahertz, increasing, you're talking about 5G and all that. So companies like Amazon, companies like, other e-commerce companies like JCPenney, like Walmart, they started the e-commerce operations because that is the time when Mosaic internet browser came up and everybody wanted to be on the internet, right? Now, what people in India also did is they were smart. Okay, so what they did is they said, okay, let us take whatever we have, right, and try to market it to those who don't have it outside of India. Okay, for example, there are a lot of sari shops in Chennai. Every time an NRI came from the US or from Canada or from Australia, wherever, right, the first thing they did was go to maybe, Nalli Silks or maybe like a, Rasi Emporium or maybe like a Kumaran Silks and said, okay, I want, to take 5 or 6 saris with me till the next time I come here. And everybody was happy saying, yeah, now I've got business from NRIs and, hope more of them come, right? But there's a limit, to which you can go actually, because not everybody would like to go to the same store and not everybody would like to spend 4 hours every time they came into the country to be able to shop. Right? So what people did is people like, Nalli Silks and all, they put their products online. And they said, okay, why don't you browse through the products? If you like something, you pay for the products, right? And I will have them shipped over to by courier to whichever address you want. That was the initial, worldwide coverage of e-commerce in India, right? That people from all over the world could shop for products that they liked, they like to either buy or they like to, gift or whatever, right? Then it graduated to other people who said, these people, they come to my place and they say, okay, I like your products, okay, right? But I'm not able to get these products in the US. Okay. Would you be interested if I call you or if I email you the list, right, to send these products to my address wherever I am in the world? They said, sure, we will do that. All these things, joined together, little by little, things started, happening. People started getting, accustomed to the online shopping, right? People's habits now changed, okay, right? Earlier they were saying, when I go to India, I'm only going to buy the stuff that I like when I'm there, right? Now what has happened, the habits have changed, okay? They are now saying, India is far away, okay? I may or may not go there this year, right? Or if I go there also, it may take me a year to go there. So what do I do in turn? Okay, I'm spoiled now. My habits have changed. Let me now buy online. Let me get this thing delivered to my house. This continued for some time till the year 2000 or even before the year 2000, from 97 to 98, 1998 time frame, when everybody started, going online because of what Hotmail did and what other people did, right? So that spawned a whole bunch of companies that went online and started doing this. FabMart, as we know, was one of the earliest pioneers of the internet online shopping, because the current founders of Big Basket were the original founders of FabMart, from Bangalore, right? And they sold computers, they sold phones, they sold clothes, they sold everything. Yes, it wasn't to the extent that what we see today, but it was a humble beginning, and it took off in a pretty decent way. After that, what has happened is that, because of the dot-com bust, things started dying down, right? And people started saying, okay, we don't have that kind of a money to be able to spend for listing our products when there's not that much of sales coming in, right? So this thing really tapered down for some time, okay, till the mid 2000, okay, when things started picking up again, not because of anything else, because of two reasons, okay. One is that a lot of people started going abroad for projects or for discussions or whatever, and once they were there, they started noticing that, how come this particular country that I am in has so much of stuff, and how it is possible for me to get some of this stuff back when I go to India, right? All these people had money with them, so they had increased incomes, sitting with them, because the salaries that were there, especially for the IT sector and all, they were increasing almost on a 3-month, on a quarterly basis, or on a monthly basis in some cases, right? And phones started making their presence felt. Android phone, started coming. You had iPhones that were being sold, and all these phones facilitated the ease of touch screen, the ease of manipulating, what you could, traversing the screen as to whichever place you wanted to go to, right? And it was very easy to use, compared to all pressing buttons and, typing your SMSs, multiple times to get a single alphabet letter, right? And also the money that flowed in by opening up the Indian economy now started trickling into tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Okay. So cities like Chennai, cities like Hyderabad, cities like Bangalore had an explosion of IT sector. Okay. But cities like, Chandigarh, cities like Ambala, cities like, Patna, all these places, they started seeing money coming inside, not because of anything else, because people who stayed in these places and they started working in bigger cities, they started sending money home and they started, bringing the money into the economy in these local places. So everybody started being able to afford a smartphone, and now they're saying, okay, we have all these things with us, right? Can we also use this? Okay, so this was the beginning of the internet explosion and the online shopping in India. Now you see how the shopping has changed. Okay, from 1992 till 2008, as I stopped for a minute. Okay, right? You had everybody who had a phone with him, right? You had everybody who had access to internet. Okay, you had everyone who had access to a reasonable amount of money, right? And here you had some sellers with brilliant ideas saying, let us now trap all these people, right, who have got these disposable incomes, and let us try to make a sale. Okay, right? In the process, what they have done is they have spawned a whole new section of employment that was not there till today, right? They had delivery boys, they had back end, things, they had cardboard cartons that needed, they had plastic envelopes that had to be done. All these things actually again plowed back money into the economy. Again, these same people who were making Amazon or Flipkart envelopes, they said, okay, we have all these envelopes, right? What are they being used for? And they, out of curiosity, they go and they say, acha, they're using it for this, so I can buy a pickle online today, right? Or I can buy, maybe, some shoes that I like, or maybe I can buy some shirts that I like, okay, right? Even if they didn't have the money, they saved for it and they bought it, right? The good thing was that everybody now had an opportunity to now participate in this new thing that we had. So what does an online market really constitute of? Okay, when we everybody talks about an online market or an online marketplace, whatever they want to call it. Who are the main players in this thing? Okay, we hear about is, okay, there's an Amazon.
So for time being, I'll just want to ask one question, sir. Like, since you were in this IT support for these decades, so
Yeah.
How do you see the scope of this e-commerce in an IT perspective? You can just guide our students.
Very nice question. Yeah, good. See, the way e-commerce has gone about today, it has occurred multiple dimensions, right? So we have what is basically what used to be only e-commerce means people used to think it's a web designer job. You just have some functions, templates, and then just give it. Now a lot of things have come into e-commerce because it's an integration platform, right? So you have shoppers on one side, you have the banks on other side, then you have the courier companies on one side, and the logistics providers on other side, and then you have a lot of aggregators like those who get all the portals, like the insurance market in India, where you go for 15 companies, you get a premium and go on and then choose the best ones, right, and send it across. So the e-commerce occurred a completely a new dimension, right? So what is happening now is that with this new dimension occurred, so the whole e-commerce facet now, for example, I was telling somebody in the last week's presentation that people who are in smaller ones who are doing 10% online business, now they are suddenly saying that 30 to 40% of the business now comes through online, right? E-commerce platform. So they need to gear up themselves internally. So there is a huge scope for current students. It's not necessarily restricted to computer science students, right? So there is the whole thing leads to what? Security. So the customer wants to make sure that his payment is secure, that his delivery is secure. There is a lot of cyber laws in play. The information given by the provider, whether it is, see, for example, a lot of people use passwords for date of birth, names, and it's very, very common thing which are always stored, the Aadhaar card, the PAN card. So all this information is stored across. So the providers as well as receivers of this have to be very, very careful to ensure that it is, especially it's in a public domain, right? So cyber security around e-commerce has become a huge learning curve, right? And also the fact that more and more websites are getting into artificial intelligence. They're trying to find out what is a customer preference. What did he buy in the last? What is he going to buy in the next 1 month? Did he go to a particular place last year for holiday travel? Is he going to go next? So they're trying to get a lot of data, analyze this data, and then push what is required to for users like you and me, so that you get interested and go for it straight away. For example, if you travel to Kodai, you know that every summer you travel to a summer location, right? So I just go and push it across in such a way that I don't need to rack my brains. I immediately decide, okay, next year I can go. So this is little bit of artificial intelligence going on, pushing information customized to your needs so that you check this. So the e-commerce career in a nutshell is now having a lot of things. It's just not just the look and feel UI graphics. That is one part, right? That's what I was talking about. Flutter is a great platform today to develop sites which work on iPhone, which work on Android, which work across multiple platforms, right? That is one part of the exercise, right? For those who are really interested in coding development. So one is the career called UX and UI, where you make the front end look as nice as possible. Then you go to the back end applications, because all these mobile applications, the students and people who are here have to understand, they are very, very light. That's why they're very fast, meaning they get a lot of data from the back end. And how does the data come? So it may be an ERP, it may be a small website, or it may be Excel, it may be a warehouse system or whatever, right? So that is something called the web APIs. That is the future of tomorrow, right? You have to understand, right? These are basically interfaces, application interfaces, which work right across any industry. It can pull information from any area to any area in a secured way. Earlier, people are pulling through flat files, through Excel files and CSV files. Now everything is open through a web API. So the data is secure over a secure protocol, and then this one system gives it, the other system consume it. So you go and put your customer number, immediately the mobile goes back, asks what did he buy last, is there any service order spending? All the information comes from backend, which is pushed back to you, right? So this writing of APIs, right, and then passing it back to the mobile, which is called the APK. Slightly, I'm going technical. So that is another huge field which is available, because all e-commerce platform need this API and APK to work all the time. That is the technology side. Then you have the functional guys, right, who decide on the content which needs to be put into the e-commerce platform. What is the content which needs to go in? How the content could look like to attract. Then you have the machine language and artificial intelligence guys, right? Those who are very good in Python, or there are so many open source languages. They get into this and then see how to push information the way the customer likes. So they give a lot of functional domain expertise, right? And then you have the social media guys. How to enhance your marketing capabilities using social media, whether it be WhatsApp or Facebook or Instagram, how to link your website to that so that people can go through the social media, still see your websites, come and buy seamlessly. Not necessarily they'll have to click every time into your website, right? So how you direct your website. So the social media also comes with what is called the SEO, the search optimization. How do you get into the top 10 of Google so that your product is always bought? How do you move from 50th page to the first page? What are the criteria for getting in? So social media enhancement for your e-commerce is becoming another career path. So there are multiple career paths. It depends on the person what he wants to do to stay in this. I would say it's a great question. It's a lovely field. Yep. I think we can go through the presentation, or you can open up questions as well before Niraj joins or whatever. I'm open for anything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I request Professor Yahya to continue with the Q&A session.
Good morning, sir. We'll start the questions, sir. We have some couple of questions here. Around 12, 13 questions are available here.
Great.
I'll start with the first question, sir. How e-commerce has changed the consumer behavior was explained by sir, but still people have a concern of buying or fear of buying in online because of so many reasons that they They're checking the quality of the product. Whatever this advertised, we are receiving a different product. Price of online is higher, or waiting time is higher. Still some people have fear about the payment fraud. These are the things. And what do you feel that what are the things to be concerned, or what are things to be taken care while buying online?
Oh, lovely question. I don't know who is the gentleman who was, or boy who asked this. It's a very great, it's a lovely question. It I think summarizes everything which is a doubt in people's mind today. Thank you for that question. Yep, I'll go ahead with that.
Yes, sir.
The first response is how secure you are from your own perspective. There are two securities. One is internal security, how your systems are secure, whether it is your mobile phone or whether it is your laptop or at home, or how is your network secured in terms of Wi-Fi passwords, and how are you using your solution outside. Are you in an airport trying to use? We have all this freebie tendency, right? Whether you or me, right? If there is any free internet, we jump onto it, right? So that is something. So how secure we are? First, we need to understand that there are, if you have 10 users, there are 100 hackers all the time trying to steal your passwords, information. Today, the world has gone to that. You and me are not isolated. We cannot prevent that. We'll have to understand that this world is there, waiting for hackers to steal in data, to get information, because they're making money out of it, right? So the first and foremost, right, I can't just open my house and say the thief will not come. Okay, I've taken some precaution and just go, right? First and foremost is you'll have to secure yourself. That is the first point, right? I'll come to all the other questions. So you need to have proper antivirus systems, proper security systems. Don't look at something like maybe 1,000 rupees per year. Why should I buy antivirus? Just remove that from your mind. You need yourselves to be secure, and that is only possible when you pay for the antivirus systems, which not only take it does protocol checking, it does security checking, it does whether exe files are installed for you, it does continuous updates every week. So a very good system which protects you from hackers, which protects you, and which that needs to be continuously updated. Not only that, even your Windows environment, the patch updates we keep on postponing, right? But these are vital flaws which the hackers get in. So we need to make sure that our systems are upgraded. You don't use Windows 2012 and 8 and say somebody has just come and taken my, it will happen. You need to upgrade yourself. Unfortunately, every 2 years, 3 years, that's where the technology is going, right? You can't grumble about it. First and foremost is to upgrade your systems, make sure that you have antivirus internally, and then the passwords. I in fact mentioned this in one of the presentations last year, Avichi. You make your passwords. Everybody has this tendency. Put your date of birth, put your father's name, daughter's name, son's name, add $2 and hash, and raise your collar and say that's a great password. And then the tendency of putting the same password everywhere, right? First, stop that. Stop that. Have some unique passwords, which are again, possibly I would even suggest to have these passwords in a mobile which has no network, right? So they can always refer to backup rather than just writing it somewhere and just storing it, whatever, right? So this is another thing, right? People who have Bitcoins do that. All their encryptions are stored in another mobile, which has no network whatsoever. You just refer to it when you want. I'm sure you must have a lot of old phones. Just secure it somewhere, right? Have passwords which are different for each site, which may be difficult to hack in, right? Don't use the same password. Try to use alphabets and characters, lower and higher passwords. Have some, when you put dollar, don't put dollar. Put something with, which is something which unique, and don't use common things, not around your family or date of birth. This is as far as the password management is concerned. That is again internal, right? So these are things which you can take internally, but still you can't ensure. Possibly if you're at risk of 90% with all this, you'll come to the risk of 50%. Still that balance risk will be there, but there are super smart hackers all around the world, right? You can only protect yourself to some extent as an individual, but these are all basic practices for you and me to be secure in this e-commerce platform. Number one. Number two, the credit card which you use, right? The credit card which you use and the CVV number which you give at the back. A lot of people are very, very careless about it, right? The first thing you do is when you get the credit card, ensure that CVV number is taken somewhere. You knock it off from where, once you have noted it down somewhere. And then also make sure that when you put in the cards, don't store it even if it is Google. Don't store those cards for easy purposes that just comes and put it on. Never store your credit cards in all the sites ask you, because that makes it easier for them to buy next time, right? So as far as possible, don't store credit cards except something like PayPal or few sites, which are highly secure. Otherwise, for a normal user, recommend don't store credit cards for future references in the website. That is one thing which is really useful. And then on top of that, what you do is basically, of course, sorry, I was because Mr. Niraj was on, I was off my video. So I hope, so that is something where what you do is technically use, don't use the passwords in stored websites, keep it to yourself, keep the encryption safer, and then use the credit cards only in HTTPS sites. All of you, I'm sure you know that sites which come with a lock, right? Most of the payment sites are secured today. And then there is a certificate information. Go and click on the right side to see how secure is the website and what is the security protocols they have. Every website should have a certificate. So these are all basic things you check with respect to. Next is, these are all the securities which you take as an individual. Now going back to the outside, the complaints about e-commerce, right? I don't understand how you are saying that. Honestly, online prices have to be cheaper because there is a lot of overhead saved when you buy through online. You don't spend extensive malls, the electricity, the utilities which you pay for a shop, all that is not there. So I have seen multiple products online. They're all very cheap. They're all very cheap to use. So I'm sure that that is something which you need to keep track of, right? I don't see, if you find the prices are more, immediately go to another website, right? The AI sites are there. Just look at 10 or 15 websites, see what's the same brand, same specs, for what is cheaper, and go for it, right? Nobody compels you to buy online unless you find, that is your choice. Again, nobody can force you. You can be tempted with a lot of offers coming in, but you need to be careful, right? The basic rule goes, spend only for what you want. Don't get pushed into luxury buying just because you feel like buying, just because price is low, right? That is a fundamental this thing in the COVID scenario, right? When the investment in income goes down, buy only what you want. Just don't go all over the place, right? That is a basic anyway. Forget e-commerce or no e-commerce, right? Coming back, so you get attracted easily in online offers. That's why I'm telling you that. That is one thing which you do in this thing. And then pricing definitely is in your hands. There are multiple options to see whether the price is there. The delivery, always go and look at websites which have a very good return policy of 30 days or 60 days, right? Most of the e-commerce sites have got an excellent delivery policy of return, except for undergarments and few like that. Just make sure. A lot of people don't read. When they go to e-commerce. Go into the integrities, the lines which find out what is there, what is not there. Is it the website has got a return policy or not? Otherwise, they always have a web chat now. There are chat bots come in. Hi, do you have a return policy? And then record that information, the text which comes in the chats, and keep it for future reference. Tell them your agent told that there is a return. That's why I went for it, right? On top of all that, there are sites which are fashion sites which give you 3D, right? How I look like when I put in this, how I look like. So use those technology. See how you look like when you put a coolers on or a specs. How do you look like, right? So you don't necessarily need to buy immediately based on the specs. You can do further drilling on a lot of these have got the 3D-dimensional effects. Look and feel of how you look like when you put in a particular suit or shoes. Go and look at that. Try to find some options, right? So that is as far as variety and delivery is concerned. And the most important part is the final part, delivery. Delivery gets delayed. They put 4 days. They don't see 6 days. A lot of e-commerce websites have provided the facility for you to return if you don't get this on the date, right? Or there is a penalty. Or so look for that, right? Consumer is the king today. The e-commerce person is the king today. You don't need to go as per the wishes of customer, right? You should not be pulled into what they want. You should dictate the terms, what I am going to buy, when I am going to buy, and what should I buy, and what conditions I should buy. This is again with you, right? Right. So these, you take all these basic precautions and protocols into play in terms of internal security, and then quality, delivery, and timelines when you buy. I'm sure that whoever asked the question, it's a good question, but unfortunately, the world is going digital. It's going to be an e-commerce world. The brick and mortar shops will slowly but steadily disappear. So you have to buy through online. You'll have to use your credit cards or debit cards. There is no escaping from that. When you cannot escape from that, you can only make yourself stronger and better and become more knowledgeable and adopt good security practices and guidelines. That is my answer to your question. If you still feel that I have not answered you fully, you feel free to ask one more question, because yours was an excellent question. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next question, it's regarding the recent pandemic situation. This coronavirus has quickly and completely disrupted the operations of e-retailers, manufacturers, wholesalers, and suppliers. And what is the role of e-commerce during this crisis?
It's very big. It's what I was telling Mr. Niraj was also saying, because most of the companies who are not able to have staff, or they're not depending upon third-party deliveries because they don't have their vans. So, but there are outside logistics companies providing that, right? They cannot open the shops, but their warehouses can be opened. They can sell directly from warehouses. Or I don't have a brick and mortar shop. I am collecting 20-25 groceries because I have a very good portal, and then they all come into my platform, and then I sell their goods on their behalf, right? So the e-commerce, as I told, it's gone up from 10-15% to 40% even for groceries, right? So I don't know whether you have seen that in spite of the manufacturing, see, the problem is the manufacturer. At the end of the day, if you don't have stock, you cannot sell, right? Manufacturing has to work, whether it's imports or domestically produced, right? That is a basic hurdle which everybody has gone through. But what is available in stock, like PPE equipments and those which are having production, that is all pharmaceutical, health items, all are being sold through e-commerce today. If you go back and look at some of the sites, vitamin D and vitamin C and possibly the clip oximeters have taken a huge chunk of the market, right? People are not buying food items anymore. They're buying this. And even the deliveries, I think when the lockdowns are there and they allowed only deliveries, customers cannot go and eat in a hotel. I'm sure you must have ordered so many items through e-commerce, which you would have, or through Zomato or whatever, which you would have never used before. So in my opinion, in COVID, there is a huge opportunity for e-commerce. Things have already gone up. And post COVID, when things, God willing, return to normalcy, e-commerce business can only increase and can't go down because people have got used to the way of buying.
Thank you, sir. The next question: what are the key things to turn your browsers into buyers?
Key things to turn your browsers into buyers, or it's basically you're asking as a consumer, right? Or you're asking as an entrepreneur, because there are two ways of looking at it. When I'm having a browser and I'm using it to become a buyer, that's my first answer. I gave you the complete elaborate answer, how to make my browser secure as a buyer, what all I should follow in terms of security protocol, certificates, and encryption, right, of the credit card. So I think my answer is already there for that, unless she has got something else. As a browser, as a buyer, what all precautions you should take to make your browser secure? I think I've already covered that question.
Sir, it is in the point of view of the seller, sir.
Exactly. Okay. In terms of the seller, right? Seller is what I think possibly understand the browser is, I think she's talking about her website, right? About the e-commerce portal itself, like Mr. Niraj has got mirchi.com. You should go and look at it, right? It's an excellent portal, right? So how to make, first and foremost, this portal is the products, right? How do you make these products attractive for buying? So my marketing becomes very, very important. How we exhibit the products, right? How do you put the products on display? How fast they are available? When somebody clicks, what is the response? It should not take more than 20 seconds to load up 15 seconds to load up my image of the product itself with full specs, delivery, timeline. So how beautifully I exhibit my product in the fastest time possible for the buyer to choose. What are the additional offers I give, and how customized I make the portal. When you log in, I should know your buying habits, your age, your buying habits, what is your social media, what you liked on LinkedIn, what you like on Facebook. Like, for example, you like music. So what are the latest Amazon Prime videos that are coming in that? Are you Amazon Prime subscriber? Or if you're a foodie, what you ordered last time? Are you a pizza guy or a burger guy? Also, moment you log in, it should be very customized and very personal for each and every person. So if more I personalized my website for e-commerce to suit your needs, the more the chances of me succeeding. So I need to make it very, very user friendly and make it more personalized. This is what I would do if I'm having an e-commerce website. Next question, please.
Next question, sir. How do we arm ourselves with knowledge of digital marketing? Any courses you recommend? And also, what are the procedures we have to follow to set up a web online portal? The question is asked by Jairam, sir.
Okay. Mr. Jairam sir, Rasi, or okay.
Yes, right. Sir, Rasi.
Thank you, Jairam Garu. Thanks for joining, sir. Ram here. Mr. Jairam is another respected, very successful businessman over the years who's built up the Rasi empire. For all of you who are here, right. Mr. I think the example is even, I think the own outlet Rasi, which is started selling through WhatsApp and video. The first and foremost thing when you set up an e-commerce website in an environment is to make it very user friendly, as I told you, is to make it more secure. So you get the certifications in place, you make it more secure so that more and more people come and visit that. And for that, and the third part of the e-commerce website is how to attract social media guys. So you have to push your products not just into your website, make it, you have a LinkedIn page or a Facebook page or an Instagram page, right? So what you do is You just have those sites, interlink your website to all the connected social medias, and then you also have the bloggers, right? For example, if you're in textile industry, there may be very well known textile people who keep writing blogs, right? You have to make sure that you are mentioned in these blogs. They are called bloggers. So they somehow, whenever they put up or talk about for example, a silk saree, the difference between a Kanjipuram and Arani silk saree, what they possibly come up with, they talk about the particular shop and say how different it is, though it's traditional, as compared to other shops, right? So that makes a huge difference. So there are a lot of people called social media influencers, right? So get these influencers to be on, it's a bit biased, I do understand, but that's a way to go, right? Today, the millennials and youngsters are looking at this kind of influencers, whether it is food or textiles or shoes. If, for example, somebody who's run a marathon in 3 hours time is talking about a particular shoe called Saucony, everybody will go and buy it, because here is a success model who has used that, and you don't need further references, right? The same holds good for any industry. So you need to get the right social media influencers, connect your social media to your website, make your website more attractive for e-commerce. And the most important part is the payment gateway. The banks are nowadays, they are having secured gateways, but you need to have the right in-house expertise or external expertise who are excellent in payment certification, payment gateways, and security or website. If you can get this right, then people will have more confidence into the portals and start buying. And also, it's a collaboration model today, right? So you need to find out where there are people who are actually going online. For example, this may be people who are selling textile, who may be selling so many other things as part of that. You need to, these are called aggregators. You need to, whether you like it or not, push your name into that. So possibly you lose a little bit of commission in that, but then your volume increases, right? So you'll have to find those criteria for people who are very, very successful and try to see if you can enlist yourself into this domain so that you can also sell through them. These are my sincere, humble advices for those who want to go digital with e-commerce. And the other question on social media, I think it's huge, Mr. Jairam. There are so many avenues possible for social media, as I was just telling the first question, right? So there is a technical side and a functional side to social media. It is a great job today, and you need digital media, communication skills, and then a little bit of technology, and then you can be a great social media player. And this is only for youngsters, right? Not for people like you and me. Those who are slightly younger, social media is a great career. Yep. Thank you.
Sir, thank you, sir. Next question is from V.S. Ganeshan, sir. What is to be done to create a direct link between farmers and consumers directly, so that the farmers can get better price by elimination of intermediaries? The initiative of various steps by government is yet to realize the desired results.
I think it's a great question. Mr. Ganesan, incidentally, is part of our mentorship program. He makes sure that he attends most of the courses. Thank you, Mr. Ganesan. Thanks a lot for that. And he's one of the mentors who has taken a few people in his CA Institute and is training them and guiding them. Thank you for that, Mr. Ganesh. Okay, going back to the question, I'm not that competent to talk about this particular subject, but what I understood is that the rural cooperative societies which are available in India today, are the village panchayats, have taken a big lead. I've seen 3 or 4 success stories in Maharashtra and then 2 in Uttar Pradesh, where these have formed. They've completely eliminated the middlemen who used to buy and go and sell into the market, right? And then they used to go and then they get only 60-50% of the produce. The middlemen take all the commission. And then, they end up with a lot of inventory which is not sold because it is not delivered on time, and these are expiring products, right? So, but especially I think products like milk and those short lasting guys, I think what they've done now is, of course, they don't have the technology or money to go into high fancy websites, which you talked about, but I think they formed a very, very effective portal. This success story, which I can see, they are now the markets. What they are doing, this local panchayats and this, I think it's a district bead in Maharashtra. What they've done is they possibly combined all the villages have combined each other. They segregated the produce into different groups, and then they've directly approached the local rural bank, right, which is there headquartered. And then the bank, for some reason, have given them a funding, and also tied up with another existing social media person, and then they have just put it on a combined portal. Right, all these farmers coming into the village, they've segregated the products into groups, and then they've eliminated. They also said that this middlemen who come in, over there, they are actually blocked from buying. So you'll have to register yourself as a consumer, which is open only for the common man to buy. And these are not bulk orders, right? You can't, if somebody buys 200 tons, you know that he's not a normal consumer, right? So they've just made some restrictions on buying. And then they've, I think their volumes have gone about 30-40%. And then the margins have increased by around almost 17 to 18%. That's what I heard. I cannot exactly recollect. I think this is a classic example. I'm sure this is a revolution, rural revolution, digital revolution that's going to happen. I don't know about Tamil Nadu, and so because I think it needs a lot of resolve. And I think Tamil Nadu is one place where I think whether we like it or not, there's so much of middlemen involved between the farmer and the ultimate consumer. So I think a lot of cooperative societies and banks are there, but they're not really playing their role the way they should. So they are only funding, but they're not taking care of how to maximize their output and productivity. So I think this is only a matter of time, Mr. Ganeshan. I think this should happen, in my opinion, as long as we can have a effective, we'll have to train these villagers and rurals how this power of e-commerce and how to sell it across, remove the fear factor. So there is a lot of knowledge transfer which required, which people only have to go to the villages and do. Remove the fear. Poor guys, they don't understand all this. So they have this fear if something goes through internet, what happens? So if you can remove that fear, I'm sure that they'll see reason and come and join this forum. Yep. Thank you.
Sir, the last question, it is from Kannan sir. What about B2C opportunity and future?
Mr. Kannan, if I'm right, I think is Mr. Talge Kannan, another of our respected classmates who's
yes,
running a very popular restaurant in Mylapore. And I think he's been a very successful catering entrepreneur, right? I think he has, I think, started Diamond Dozen Ventures and then been successful in a lot of them. So I think as an entrepreneur, he's another, possibly we're in fact planning to have a session with Mr. Kannan one of the days on catering as a business, right? Hopefully we'll have it. Thanks, Kannan, for joining. This question is basically, I'm sure that you're in a catering, a restaurant business. There's so many people. I think the B2C market is in for a storm. It's a huge storm. I think in India, especially the way millennials are, everybody is just using the mobile. They're not even using the laptops, and everybody has got most of these applications installed for them. And it's a kind of click and buy for them. It's become a kind of fashion statement, right? And then people, of course, people still like outdoors to come and all that. But slowly but steadily, as the time goes by, I think the B2C market is opened up very big time, business to consumers. I think where every consumer, rich or poor, according to their tastes and fancies, are going to like and buy things over the internet. And I think the B2C business, as compared to the regular retail business on a brick and mortar restaurant or shopping, is going to change big time, right? And I'm sure about that. It is just that we need to equip ourselves in terms of delivery, in terms of packaging, in terms of logistics, to see how fast we can deliver at a cheaper cost and not pay this kind of commission to this middlemen like others, all the portals, who charge a huge amount of money to deliver your own items and make more money than you make, right? These are all things we need to see how to. In my opinion, the biggest challenge for small retailers and middle ones is to see how to efficiently deliver and reduce the logistics time for delivery and what is called the available to promise. Can I deliver what I promise on time? If not, what is the cost of losing that customer again? Those kind of things, you'll have to basically increase your internal efficiency and also cater to those deliveries and logistics on time. If you have done that, I think I'm sure that there will be a massive reduction in overheads and bigger jump in profits, and B2C is here to stay.
Sir, VC Kannan sir is the person who came for logistic webinar, sir, who has done logistic webinar.
Mr. Kannan, sorry.
Yes, sir. The next question, sir. What are the job opportunities available for our BCom graduates, sir?
BCom?
A commerce graduate in online.
Yeah. Commerce graduates, I think, again, my first question I answered it in a very lengthy way. There is a huge opportunity for you, but you'll have to be very, very clear on your mindset, right? You'll have to pick up the additional skills. You can't just have BCom degree and then say, first you'll have to decide, do you have a fascination for coding? Do you have a fascination for technology? If you have the fascination for technology, how do you take it forward? Should I learn some coding skills? Or do you have good
Thank you, Ram sir, for having a wonderful session and answering all our questions patiently. And now I would request Professor Selvi to propose vote of thanks.
So, if you have any questions?
Right, sir. There is a question here, sir. Like we start with this. Like, does digital marketing really influence in buying a product which is newly launched in the market? Example: herbal powder bottle for specially tender women.
Yes and no. Okay. Digital marketing will work up to a point, right? Now, the way digital marketing works is, let's say you have a herbal product. Okay. Now you want to position the herbal product into the ecosystem. Okay. You launch it, and you find that nobody is coming to buy it. So what you do is you go on Facebook and you start sending the products out or the advertisements out saying, this is a new product that you want to buy and everything. Okay. Right. That will work up to a point. But beyond social media marketing, what you really need to do is you need to be able to influence people. Okay. Meaning that, it goes on word of mouth mostly than, trying to do it. One actually thing which might work is that if you position your SEO, okay, which is search engine optimization, which can actually take your things and list it properly. So for example, if I search in Google for herbal product, okay, right, your thing should come up on the first page. Okay, how does it come up on the first page? By trying to understand how Google actually lists your product, and then trying to position it in such a way that your product is picked up amongst the 10 products that are in the first page. And that actually there are companies to help you do it, or if there are a lot of places that you can also look at and do.
Beautiful, sir. Beautiful, sir. Sir, according to, based on the Mirchi.com's thing, you have mentioned about your products is of mostly of homemade and gluten-free and organic products.
Mm-hmm.
So can you elaborate on that? Because most of the IT and e-commerce companies goes with the regular brands, but you are working with the homemakers, the entrepreneurs, and the first-time entrepreneurs and organic farmers. So can you please elaborate on that, sir?
See, basically, just to give you an example, what is organic? Organic is nothing more than the use of natural fertilizers and natural methods of farming. Okay. So, for example, I might be growing vegetables in my house. Okay. Rather than use, chemical fertilizers like urea and all that, I might use, cow dung. I might use natural manure, compost, and things like that. So, the products that are made from that are typically known as organic products. Okay, gluten-free products are those products that are specifically meant for certain people who cannot eat wheat. So if you take wheat, right, the way bread is made, it is the when you knead the atta, it is sticky. And the stickiness comes from gluten, a thing called gluten, which is there in wheat. And a lot of people, when they eat that gluten, they fall very sick. So for them, till now, they were not able to eat any gluten-free products that, were available generally. Okay. So what we did is we decided to have a separate section where people like, some people I know personally can buy and eat cookies, can eat bread, can eat cakes, can eat gluten-free atta, they can eat roti again, without having to eat ragi and all that stuff all their lives. So that is something that we have created as an exclusive section on our portal.
Beautiful, sir. Wonderful, sir. Because that is there when I went through the website, getting things about your presentation. Like it is more about like corporate gifting and gifting on the particular festivals plays a major role on your USP. I mean your company's USP. So how was the response, sir? It's initial because there are more students who want to get into startups like this. So how was the response initially, and what is required for having this e-startup sustain to a longer time, sir? From a stalwart like you, we want to know, sir.
See, the startup scene, as I said again, my entire presentation got washed out, unfortunately. But what I was mentioning is, see, it is very easy to have a startup. Okay, it takes hardly 10 minutes for somebody to have a startup. All the things are available online and all that. But you don't want to become a me too kind of a thing, okay, right? Meaning that, if somebody is doing it, my neighbor has done it, let me also do it. That should not be the goal of anyone, today, okay? What you should be looking at and say, is my product going to make any difference to somebody that I know, okay? Is my product going to make any difference to somebody, who might be able to enjoy it better than what he is able to do today, okay? So with that in mind, what we decided to do is we decided to get into areas that were not everybody's cup of tea, okay? And selling sweets, selling, namkeen, selling pickles is not an easy thing, okay, online. It's a long gestation period that is required, okay? A lot of money is required to be able to sustain, before you get a single customer, okay? One shouldn't get disillusioned saying that I'm not getting any customers, so what do I do, right? The second thing which I advise people also is, if you want to do something like this, yes, you're more than welcome to do it, but be prepared to spend long hours, okay? You cannot say that, I start work at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, I finish my work at 6 o'clock in the evening. Every single day is at least, the 24-hour work day for you, okay, right? And try to have your team as lean and mean as possible, okay? Meaning that if you have to, go outside and pick up some stuff for your office, you have to be able to do it, okay? If you want to employ 4 people to say, okay, here you do, I want a peon, I want somebody to serve coffee in my office, I want to have a cleaning service, I want this guy to, do all the other packing and all that, forget about it. It's not going to work, okay? So you need to have that kind of a, strength. You need to have that kind of a stamina, and you need to not have any egos, basically, to be able to do all this.
Sir. So that serves as a great advice for the young people, like, not get into this thing just because someone is doing. Do have a thorough research and the uniqueness in building a brand or startup, then they'll be succeeding, sir. I now invite Professor Selvi ma'am to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Prakash sir. On behalf of Avichi College, our management, and our principal, and our staffs and students, I take this opportunity to deliver vote of thanks to Mr. Niraj Mital sir, who spoke and want to share more about online shopping trends of the customers. He answered to the questions in a very vital way that every layman, even a layman, can understand what is the e-commerce is about and what are all the solutions they can get by um, becoming a entrepreneur in the online marketing, that is e-commerce, by e-commerce. This is a very, and I want to thank Ram Kumar sir, who has taken over the session and answered the questions asked by the participants to the grassroots level and clear the doubts of the participants in a very amicable manner. Thank you, Ram sir. Thank you, Neeraj sir, for a wonderful presentation and questionnaire session. I hope that every participants who have participated in this webinar have enjoyed every moment of this webinar, and it is a very useful session to our students and also the participants of this webinar. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the answers, Ram sir. Thank you for the presentation, Neeraj sir. We wish to wish the team of Mirchi.com because you're doing a unique gifting for the upcoming festivals of Raksha Bandhan. So wishes from the Avichi College team. I wish to thank on behalf of the college, the management, our secretary sir, VM Shanmugam sir, and the staff and students of Avichi College. We thank you once again for spending your valuable time and giving us an insight into the e-commerce and the things behind it. Thank you, Neeraj sir. Thank you, Ram sir, for complementing it with the question and answers at the required time. So thank you so much, sir. From Avichi College of Arts and Science, we have more exciting and inspiring webinars to come in the coming days from the inspiring and experienced personalities like Niraj Mital sir and Ram Kumar sir. Thank you so much. That's it for now. We are signing off from Avichi College of Arts and Science. Stay tuned to us through our Facebook page, facebook.com/Avichi College. And you can stay tuned with www.avichicollege.edu.in. So more power to all of you. Stay indoors, stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye.